Hi everybody, my name is Chad McCormick and I teach STEM guitar building at Wells High School in Wells, Maine. Today I'll be talking to you about setting the saddle positions on the bridge before stringing up the instrument. And the reason this is important is that when we go to set the true intonation of the instrument as the final step of this entire project, we don't want to have to make broad changes in the position of the saddles. We want to get it pretty close to the final resting place before stringing up the instrument. So today you will need a tape measure, a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. Of course you'll need your guitar ready for strings. That means the neck is on the body, bridge is attached, all of your electronics goodies are installed, and that's that. So I will change over to a document camera now so that you can get a good view of the bridge from above, and I will see you in just a minute. Alright, so here we are looking down at the bridge from above. You may recall that the scale length of this instrument is 25.5 inches. What that means is the vibrating string length from the bridge down to the nut is 25.5 inches. It also means that the 12th fret is located at 12.75 inches from the nut. To get the guitar to play in tune up and down the neck, we will do what's called intonation, which means these saddle positions will be adjusted either farther away from the nut or moved closer to the nut so that the notes played at each of the frets will be not sharp or not flat, but right in tune up and down the neck. Okay, so to accomplish that, we're going to use a tape measure here, and I'm going to set the 1-inch mark at the fretboard side edge of the nut at the first string nut slot, that's the high E, and then I'm going to take a look at the measurement where the string takes off from the saddle, which is right about even with the tops of those 2 set screws there. Each of these saddles has a rounded indentation that the string rests in, and the string takes off from the saddle right about even with the top of those 2 set screws. So if I measure from the fretboard side edge of the nut at that high E slot, and I set it at the 1-inch mark, then I should be at 26.5 inches to that takeoff point on the saddle. You can see that it's not quite right. I need to move this saddle closer to the neck. So to accomplish that, I take my number 1 Phillips head screwdriver and I simply back out the screw. By backing out the screw, it allows for the spring here to propel that saddle forward towards the neck. So I made that adjustment. I'll measure again. Again, I'm going to put the 1-inch mark right at that fretboard edge of the nut. And now I'm real close, 26.5 inches, just about there. I'm going to back it off just a little bit more. Check again. I've got 26.5 right to the top of those set screws, which is about where the takeoff point is for that string. All right. We can actually put the tape measure away now. We do not need to repeat that process for the other 5 saddles. Instead, what we'll do is follow a little pattern here. The B string saddle, I'm going to adjust until the flat face of the saddle on the front edge is even with the tops of those set screws. So it looks like it's just stepping down a little bit from the high E to the B. And then I'm going to follow that same pattern to the G string saddle. If I turn clockwise, it draws that saddle back, lengthening the string path. I went too far, so I'll go counterclockwise. Again, bringing the leading face of that saddle even with those set screw locations there. All right. Now you might think, okay, cool, I got the hang of that. I'm just going to do that staircase all the way down to the low E. It's a good thought, but it's actually incorrect. The way that our strings are manufactured, the low E, A, and D strings are wound around a thin core strand, and then the G, B, and E strings are plain. They're not wound. And that will affect the intonation setting. So what we'll actually do here on the D string is we will bring it even with where the B string is. So it looks like I need to back that screw off to move the saddle forward just slightly. There we are. So the B and the D are right about even with one another. And then I continue that staircase back to the low E string. This saddle needs to be moved forward just a little bit. And the low E needs to be moved forward just a little bit. All right, that's it. We have completed what I call the pre-intonation process. It's getting those saddles in the neighborhood of where they will end up being when we do the true intonation of the instrument. And we do this prior to the strings so that when we do that real deal intonation, we don't have to make huge changes in the saddle position. All right, that's that. We'll see you next time.